Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive? This time, we're really going to get inside your head. We're tackling Mind Magic by James R. Doty.
Now, I know manifestation gets a lot of buzz, some of it, well, a little too out there.
Right, like just wishing for $1,000,000.
Exactly. But that's where Doty grabbed my attention, too. He digs into the actual science of it. This isn't about positive vibes and rainbows. It's about the power of the subconscious mind.
Okay, see, now that's fascinating. We're talking about the stuff our brains are doing without us even realizing it, right?
You got it. He makes this point, and it kind of blew my mind. He says, we're already manifesting all the time, every single day.
Wait, what? You mean like just by going about our lives? Give me an example.
Think about it. Your job, your relationships, the things you have or don't have, they all came from choices, from habits we repeat, even if we didn't realize that's what was happening.
Whoa! Okay, so it's like we've had this incredible power all along, but no one gave us the instruction manual.
Exactly. Doty breaks it down. There are these four key networks in the brain, and they're driving this whole process. Think of them like muscles we can train, right?
Okay, I like this analogy. Keep going.
So one of them, let's call it the daydreamer. This is active when your mind wanders, you're lost in thought, making plans, or maybe replaying that embarrassing moment from middle school.
Oh, man. My daydreamer muscle is ripped. So what's the downside?
Well, that same muscle, it's also the breeding ground for self-criticism, that inner voice that says you're not good enough.
Uh,
Yep, that's the daydreamer too.
the worst. So how do we get this daydreamer to, like, focus on the positive stuff?
That's where the second muscle comes in. We'll call it the spotlight. Constantly scanning your world inside and out, deciding what matters. The problem, stress totally hijacks it.
Stress, the ultimate party pooper. Go on.
Our brains are wired to survive, right? So when we're stressed, that spotlight gets laser focused on potential threats. Bills piling up, deadline looming, boom, spotlight goes into overdrive.
Even if those things aren't actually life or death.
Exactly. It's like we're running from saber-toothed tigers in the modern world. Our spotlight hasn't quite caught up to modern life.
Okay, so we've got these two brain muscles, one prone to negativity, the other easily distracted. How do we even begin to train them?
That's where it gets really cool. Because of something called neuroplasticity, our brains can actually change and adapt based on our experiences.
So we're not stuck with these pre-programmed brains. There's hope.
Absolutely. We can train our minds just like we train our bodies. And that's what unlocks the potential for intentional manifestation.
So neuroplasticity, our brains are like Play-Doh. We can reshape them. I like it. But how do we actually do that? How do we go from stressing about bills to, manifesting our dream lives?
Well, it's not as simple as just thinking happy thoughts, right?
You sadly no. Tried that, didn't work.
Right. Doty talks about the power of visualization, but it's more than just picturing something. He uses this example of Jim Carrey back in the 90s when he was still, trying to make it.
Oh yeah, Jim Carrey. Wasn't he broke back then?
Totally. He wrote himself a check for $10 million, dated it for Thanksgiving 1995, carried it around in his wallet.
Okay, I've heard this story, but come on, does that really make a difference?
Well, 5 years later, he's starring in hit after hit, making bank.
Well, coincidence?
Maybe.
Or maybe. Manifestation in action. See, now you've got me thinking.
There's science behind it, too. Doty talks about these studies where people just imagined exercising.
Wait, really? Like, just sat there and thought about lifting weights?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And guess what? They showed actual muscle gains. Not as much as actually working out, of course, but still the brain was sending signals to the body, even without real physical effort.
Whoa, so our brains don't always know the difference between what's real and what we're just vividly imagining.
Exactly. So now apply that to your goals. When you combine that crystal clear vision, like you can see it, touch it, feel it,
Okay, I'm with you.
and you pair that with strong positive emotion, like the feeling of already having what you want, that sends a powerful message to the subconscious.
It's not just seeing it, it's feeling it. Gotcha.
Think of that spotlight muscle. Those emotions are like a giant neon sign flashing, hey, this is important, make it happen. Doty calls this value tagging. Your brain's filtering information constantly, and those vivid, emotionally charged visions, they jump to the front of the line.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense than just trying to, like, paste on a smile and hope for the best. But what about self-doubt? Like, I can visualize all I want, but that voice in my head? Brutal.
Ah, yes, the infamous inner critic. Here's the thing. You're not alone. It's not just you being negative. Your brain is wired for this stuff.
Hold up.
When stress kicks in, it can go a little haywire, gets hijacked by those primal instincts, fight or flight and all that.
So I'm programmed to run from tigers that don't exist.
Basically. Except today's tigers are deadlines, bills, you name it. That fight or flight response gets triggered by all sorts of things that aren't actually life-threatening.
And that's when the self-doubt creeps in.
Exactly. It's like your brain's stuck in survival mode and all those negative thoughts, they're just trying to protect you, even if it's from imaginary danger.
Okay, so how do we rewire this prehistoric programming? I'm ready to evolve.
Doty talks about self-compassion, and he tells this story about a guy named Shankar Hemedy. He had this deep-seated belief, there's not enough.
Oof, I feel that. Where does that even come from?
For Hemedy, it was his childhood. He grew up poor. And even when he found success later in life, that belief stuck with him, held him back from being truly generous, like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
So this not enough belief, it was like holding him back even when he had plenty. That's kind of heartbreaking.
Totally. But here's the thing. Doty says self-compassion is the key. Hemedy realized he had to treat himself with the same kindness he'd show someone he loved.
It's like we're often our own worst critics, right? Way harsher on ourselves than we would ever be on someone else.
Exactly. And as Hemedy started challenging those old beliefs, replacing them with something more empowering, his whole reality shifted. He was able to be more generous, more open to abundance.
Wow, that's powerful. Okay, we've covered so much ground here. We've got the science, the visualization, how to deal with self-doubt. What about actually putting this into practice? What are the actionable steps we can take, like starting today?
Right, because it can feel kind of overwhelming, right?
Yeah.
Doty actually lays out a 6-week program in the book, a step-by-step guide to mastering this stuff.
Okay, I'm listening.
And it all starts with self-awareness. Got to know where you're starting from, right?
It makes sense. How do we even identify those unconscious patterns that are shaping our lives?
Doty's got this simple question. What am I already manifesting? Just look around at your life, good, bad, and everything in between. What choices got you here?
Okay, so it's about taking inventory, seeing the results of our past manifestations, even if we didn't realize that's what we were doing.
You got it. And once you've got that picture, then you can get super specific about what you want to manifest.
So none of that vague, I want to be happy stuff.
Nope. Details, details, details. What does happiness actually look like for you? How does it feel? Who's there with you? Paint the picture.
Like creating a vision board, but in our minds.
Exactly. And remember those emotions we talked about. Don't just see it, feel it. Immerse yourself in that feeling of already having it.
Okay, so we're clear on what we want, we're feeling it for real, but then life happens. We hit a roadblock, start doubting ourselves. How do we stay on track when things get tough?
That's where the daily practice comes in. Doty suggests even just a few minutes each day, revisit that vision, reconnect with those positive feelings.
Yeah, so it's a muscle we've got to keep working out. Consistency is key.
You know it.
Mm.
And as you go through your days, pay attention to what Doty calls synchronicity, those seemingly random events.
Ooh, yeah, like when you're thinking about someone and then they call.
Exactly. Sometimes it's a nudge from the universe, guiding you in the right direction. Don't ignore those hints.
I'm definitely going to be on the lookout for those. This has been eye-opening. I feel like we've unlocked some kind of secret code.
The best part? The power's already within you. You hold the key to manifesting the life you desire.
That is an empowering thought, isn't it? We're not just along for the ride. We're actually in the driver's seat.
You got it.
Uh,
And that's the beauty of all this. It's a message of hope, of possibility. You have the power to create the change you want to see.
I love that. Well, that's about all the time we have for today's deep dive. To all our listeners out there, remember, you are the magic.
And the journey is just beginning.
This is your host, signing off. Until next time, keep those manifestations coming.